Good morning and welcome to TMI this morning. It's Wednesday, the 19th of February 2025. My name is Joshua Okata, and of course, today we'll be looking at a very brand new topic for the day, and we'll be looking at the Osun State crisis, especially happening in the local government council, where 5 persons have been feared killed or feared dead, and a few more persons injured as a result of the internal crisis going on between the APC and the PDP. And of course, I have a guest right here with me. In fact, I'll be having two guests. One will be joining us virtually later on the show, and of course, one will be joining us right here physically. I have with me Mr. Matthew Oluko. He is a political affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Matthew, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, so you've been following the story about the crisis going on in Osun State, where in that local government we have several local government councils, and as we speak right now there is crisis resulting from the fact that on one hand APC is alleging that they have a court judgment that has reinstated the chairpersons and of course their councils after they've been sacked in 2022, while on the other hand PDP say there was no such court judgment. In fact, it is invalid. Now, APC is alleged to, be forcefully trying to have their way into the councils, which of course they met stiff resistance, and as a result, 5 persons died and a few others injured. Now, my question to you is, what is your take on this, especially with regards to the legality of such as alleged court judgment that reinstated the council chairpersons and their council?
Once again, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I think, first of all, the impunity of our politicians is why we always see this level of death. As you can see, it's quite unfortunate anyway. But for me, even if you claim there is a court judgment, because I understand that there are 2 judgments in this regard. The one that initially sacked the local government chairman, which the state government relied on, and the one that purportedly reinstated them. I think it behoves on the court to interpret. And when it comes to enforcement of judgment of court, you don't resort to self-help. It is supposed to be security agencies themselves who enforce it. So that is another area of impunity. Because if in essence the judgment favor you, because the argument of the 2 sides, PDP and APC, PDP is saying the judgment does not translate into reinstating the local government chairman. And they are insisting that the judgment reinstate them. So you are not the police that will enforce the judgment in the first place. I think the right thing to do, if actually the judgment favor them, is to allow the police to do the enforcement. On the other hand, if there is uncertainty about the judgment, if it's vague, considering the words that is used by the judge, or judges, yes, I think panel of judges, I think it's Court of Appeal, then I think the right thing to do was to approach a superior court, this time around Supreme Court, to give an interpretation into the judgment, or go back to the court to have a clearer explanation of what the judgment is. But resorting to self-help for me is a recipe for crisis, and the consequence is what we are dealing with.
Good. Now, you've given us 2 areas where we saw lacuna. First, they claimed that there was a court order. And of course, like you said, whoever that should enforce that court order to allow them entry or have access into those secretariats should be the police. Now, my question to you is, where is the police in this, especially considering the fact that they should have been the ones to enforce this? Secondly, could it be that they deliberately ignored the aspect of involving the police in enforcing this so as to be able to have their way by force?
I think in this regard, you don't blame the police because they may not have informed the police that they have intention of forcefully taking over the local government. And again, another issue is, it is PDP that is alleging that they want to forcefully take over the local government secretariats. It's another thing to prove whether the position of PDP is right or wrong. But all we can understand is there's disagreement between the 2 political parties, and we have a situation where we now have a monumental waste and loss of life.
Now, were they deliberately ignoring the aspect of the police, knowing fully well that they should be the ones to enforce such order? That's my question.
The way it is, based on the information in the public domain,
Yes.
it is not clear whether they carry the police along, whether they inform the police, and you cannot even blame police on this because they have not come out to say we put police in the notice and perhaps they were not willing or they didn't come to enforce the judgment. And I don't think it even behoves on the person who secured the judgment or who the judgment is in his favor to even mandate police to enforce it. I think it behoves on the court. When court give judgment and it comes to enforcement, court will tell if it's DSS, if it is police that will enforce it. The court will specifically mandate the security agency that will enforce it.
So at that point where they met a resistance, and now you're saying that when such court orders have been disregarded, at that point in time, they should seek for a more superior court, perhaps the Supreme Court. Who enforces or who initiates that?
Anyone that feels dissatisfied with the judgment at any point in time can approach a court of higher jurisdiction, a court of higher, yes. Then, if in the event of what we are seeing, there is not clear, maybe the words the judges use is vague, or like what we have currently, on one hand, PDP is saying the judgment of the court does not translate into reinstating local government chairman, and APC is saying the judgment automatically reinstates the local government chairman. The best thing to do is to return to the court, for the court to make a proper pronouncement that is very clear, that cannot be doubted.
All right, so now we're looking at those who were involved in this dastard act. Some persons from different quarters are alleging that APC, has a knack when it comes to sponsoring of talks to be able to carry out their mandate. And as we have it in a statement by the State Commissioner for Protocol and Government Affairs, Soji Adeogbe, who alleged that two PDP members identified as Ige and Igera were killed in the gun welding talks by the APC. What's your take on that?
I cannot use the account of whether PDP or APC to draw my inference. Because I know the average Nigerian politician, they operate with impunity. And the way it is like a balance of terror. Because on one hand, APC claim that they lost some members. PDP is claiming that they lost some members. So in this case, you need an unbiased investigation to unravel what actually transpired, who played any role. But the way it is, the two political parties must have involved in the terror.
Now, when this gun battle ensued, where is the police in all of these security agencies?
What you understand is, at times you don't blame police the way you are looking at it, because in a split of seconds, in a split of 1 or 2 minutes, you would understand that what transpired would have happened. Before the police even mobilized to the scene, it doesn't take up to 10 minutes if someone fires a shot for it to get the target. It doesn't take up to 2 seconds.
But there would have
so
been
the point I'm trying to
sort of
make is
disagreement
the point I'm trying to
before
make
it busted into a wildfire.
the area you may blame police
Yes.
is the area of intelligence gathering. That they could have nipped that in the bud.
Okay.
But even at that, it is not only the police that have that responsibility, because the job of security is a synergy among all the security agencies. We had the DSS that had the saddle with the responsibility of intelligence gathering locally. Even internationally, the National Intelligence Agency does that. So what they needed to do is, when they gather information or actionable intelligence that such thing is about to happen, they share the intelligence with the police, then they will be on ground ahead of maybe the possible confrontation between the two political parties, as a way of trying to nip it in the bud. So that is the area you could blame the police, that they failed in their responsibility to gather intelligence and to nip it in the bud.
Is there any punitive action that could be taken on?
Of course, that is where we are. If you understand the reason, the essence of law prosecution is to act a deterrent to others. The point is, if nobody is arrested, nobody is prosecuted, nobody is sanctioned, nobody pays for this crime, next time it will embolden other people to do even worse. Not just restricted to Osun State, but to other parts of the country. But it's unfortunate that we are returning back to the dark days. Remember that when we returned to democracy in 1999, this political togre, killing, maiming was like order of the day. But as we progress into the democracy, I think we are gradually seeing less of it. But unfortunately, what happened in Osun State is a sad reminder of what we used to hear when we returned to democracy in 1999.
All right, so like they say, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. The people at the grassroots level, especially at the local government council across the state, will suffer the dividends of democracy, considering the fact that as we speak, there is tension and instability across those local government councils. What is the fate of these ones?
Their fate always, even if there is no rancor, there is no disagreement, are we even saying that the political class, the ruling class, the governing class, that they are actually giving the people a quality governance, and that the people are actually getting the dividend of democracy that they ought to get? I don't think it is anything different whether there was crisis or no crisis in terms of the people getting their dividends of democracy. Because however I look at it, this crisis is not going to last for too long. So they will still normally get the allocation that accrues to the local government through the federation account, and whatever they needed to do for the people, I don't think it will deter them from doing it. But generally speaking, I was saying the people are already enjoying dividends of democracy to the extent that they can say, yes, we are in democracy and democracy is flourishing in Nigeria. I don't think so anyway.
Well, when you talk about you don't know or think that the people are actually...
because as at the last time I checked...
You are not in Osun State.
As at the last time I checked,
okay.
I understand that Nigerians across board file out on the street to protest against what they term bad governance. Though the government is doing whatever they can to address that, but I don't think Nigerians are yet satisfied that they are already getting what they actually deserve to get.
Okay, so now let's have a flip of this conversation. We understand that there is an autonomy when it comes to local government councils, separate from the executive. Now, where is the governor's role in this, considering the fact that the state local government council is in disarray?
Though the state has joint account with the local government, that was before the judgment, the landmark judgment,
yes,
that gave local government autonomy, that empowers them to receive money directly from the federation account. But that judgment was put on hold, but I think it's supposed to take effect from either this month or so, if I'm correct. But the way it stands, the local government chairmen on their own, they are supposed to be the chairman and the chief security officer of their respective local governments. And the local government do not run completely in isolation. Politically speaking, the state government have a way of controlling the local government.
By what means and how?
As we speak, yeah, the electoral body that organize election at the local government level is state controlled. And there are so many policies that the state does that directly affects the local government. It is even now that the local government is trying to win itself from the state level owing to that court judgment. But however I look at it, it will be very difficult. It will be a Herculean task to completely detach the local government from the State House of Assembly. Even as we speak, it is the State House of Assembly that adjudicate and make law and determine the tenure of the local government chairman. All
right. Thank you so much, Mr. Matthew Oluku, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, the program continues, of course, shortly, as we'll be handing you over to our Benin Network studios for the rest of the program. Do stay.